You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access. Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
BATV is here to bring you the highlights from the 5th Annual Joan Duncan Memorial Lecture, where DK Duncan will be delivering the keynote address on political leadership, an enabler or disabler to Jamaica's economic growth. I'm Javon Keys and I'll be your host. Stay with us, much more after this.
The Joan Duncan School of Entrepreneurship, Ethics and Leadership, J.D. Seal, evolved out of a need for the University of Technology, Jamaica, as an academic institution to rise to the national challenge of addressing the endemic problem of unemployment by providing specific training to persons, particularly our youths, interested in starting their own businesses. It has been recognized the world over that developing the tools of entrepreneurship is one important way of promoting individuals to become their own sources of employment, given that established corporate entities are contracting in the economy. In other words, entrepreneurship is now a most invaluable tool in the arsenal of a country's strategy for national development. The government of Jamaica, through its 2030 vision document, highlights the importance of entrepreneurship in economic development, and the MSME and Entrepreneurship Policy document of the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries states as follows, and I quote, "The MSME and Entrepreneurship Policy seeks to offer a comprehensive, targeted and coherent framework that will create a highly entrepreneurial sector that is characterized by innovative and competitive businesses that are supported by a rewarding institutional and regulatory environment. The achievement of the policy goals and objectives will therefore necessitate a partnership between key stakeholders within the public and private sectors and by associations representing the MSMEs." End of quote. In this regard then, the University of Technology, Jamaica, insightfully tagged the People's University, and I know DK would like that, is playing its part by being the first institution of its kind offering a specialized degree in entrepreneurship and also hosting under its umbrella a highly touted business incubator system. Under our business incubator called the Technology Innovation Center, the TIC, we have had clients winning numerous local and international awards, with two, Tyrone Wilson and Gordon Swaby, receiving the prestigious 50 Under 50 Award for Excellence in Youth Entrepreneurship by the Government of Jamaica in 2012. Then again, there's also Mrs. Valerie Grant, another client of the incubator here on the campus of UTech. She's Managing Director of Geotech Vision Enterprises, and she has also won several prizes, including the Commonwealth Woman Entrepreneur of the Year Award, the NCB National Builders Award in the category Women in Business, and the Business Excellence Forum of the Americas Award for Female Entrepreneur of the Year in 2015. And these are just some of the awards that have been given to clients of the incubator, which is part of the Joan Duncan School of Entrepreneurship, Ethics and Leadership. In the latest report from the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, GEM, it was shown that 85% of working-age Jamaicans agreed with the statement that most people in the country consider starting a business as a desirable career choice. Entrepreneurship as a career path is highly recognized and applauded in this country. Indeed, much status is accorded to successful Jamaican entrepreneurs, as according to the same GEM report, 85% in the category 18 to 64 age group also supported the statement that in this country, successful entrepreneurs receive high status. Incidentally, this GEM report, which is an international research tool, is produced right here in J.D. Seal under the College of Business and Management by our lecturers, all done for the nation of Jamaica. It is therefore most fitting, ladies and gentlemen, that as I welcome you to this signal event, the Joan Duncan Memorial Lecture, that I inform you of this important role being played by the school, which is fostering growth and entrepreneurial development in Jamaica. And it is also therefore with a deep sense of honor and humility that I have the distinct pleasure of bringing you greetings and welcoming you to this 5th lecture series. This is the 5th annual Joan Duncan Memorial Lecture, and it is in aid of recognizing the benefactor for the school, who is Joan Duncan, and it recognizes the contributions that persons have made in the field of entrepreneurship, as well as in the area of ethics and leadership, because that's the name of the school, Entrepreneurship, Ethics and Leadership. So each year we decide to concentrate on different aspects of that subject. One year we'll do entrepreneurship, another year we will do ethics, and another year leadership. This year we're looking at the area of leadership, as I said, as part of the tripartite aspect of the school, and leadership in particular related to politics, so political leadership, and how that has affected the growth and development of our country. And of course we have the icon, Dr. D.K. Duncan, who is a stalwart in the area, who is going to dissect this subject. And of course we have a set of panelists, very qualified panelists, looking at various aspects of leadership. And that's going to be interesting. The Joan Duncan School of Entrepreneurship, Ethics and Leadership is the first of its kind in the English-speaking Caribbean, offering a BSc degree in entrepreneurship. And that's an achievement in itself. In addition, the school and indeed the university is the first of its kind too to have as part and parcel of its portfolio an incubator, a business incubator. So you'll find in the Joan Duncan School of Entrepreneurship the Technology Innovation Center, which is well known throughout Jamaica as one of the incubators, one of the first incubators in Jamaica. And so we have clients within the incubator who are there to network, to be mentored in terms of developing their businesses, and students interact with these live clients, these live entrepreneurs, and at the same time learn from them. And that in itself is a tremendous experience. So that is the basis in terms of the school. Each student, when they come to do the degree, unlike the other conventional students within the university, they have to come with a business idea. So the entire 4 years of development is surrounded a business idea that they may have, and then they look at the various aspects of developing that idea, including the business model, canvas, including looking at accounting for your business, finance, marketing, sales, and so on, all surrounding the business. So at the end of the period of when they're about to graduate, they should be ready to start a business.
They've asked me to talk on a question that people ask me every day, do politicians really believe polls, and are polls authentic? And I have a very easy answer to both of them, which I will share in the gathering. But yeah, I've been in polling for over 30 years, and I've survived political polling because politicians believe in what they hear. They don't always use it the way they should, and some of them fall awry as a result. But generally, I believe that politicians do place a lot of reliance on polls and actually use it for all kinds of strategies.
We go to a break. Stay with us. Much more after this.
Home is where all the sweetness, silliness, and beauty of life happens. Discover your style and express yourself with furniture from the Ashley Furniture Home Store. Visit any of our 2 locations at Ligony Kingston or Fairview Montego Bay. Find the most exquisite range of furniture in varying styles to suit your needs. So tell your story with elegant and affordable lounge, bedroom, dining pieces, and more from the Ashley Furniture Home Store. Here at Ashley, this is home.
Caring Hands Season 3 continues to effect change in a changing environment.
Many of us were raised by grandmothers, right? So, we know the wisdom that these people have.
Going beyond business.
The little leaders of today are our leaders of tomorrow. And with the proper education we'll have very good leadership coming from that.
That's season 3 of Caring Hands, creating change and shaping lives, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show, and Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Let's join our presenter on stage.
The manifesto of one party was a little more bread, a little more butter. And of the other was self-government and education. Anecdotally, it is said that the answer to the larger vision of self-government and education, the answer was that education can eat. Huh? And I don't know if we see, I'll only ask the question, if we see any manifestations of that kind of political behavior in our society at this time. It might have been a necessary thing to deal with the immediate needs of people. But in the end, without vision, the people perish. So a lot of things added up in the early years and the origins of political tribalism, and it developed through the years, the 40s, the 50s, into the 60s. It carried with it not only the distribution of housing in a partisan way, political violence, unions against unions, then later on political parties against political parties on election day in particular, then it spread. All of that came about under the leadership of political leadership at the time. So we can clearly say that from time to time, the political leadership in Jamaica has enabled actions which could lay the basis for retarding growth. Because if you're going to divert your workers from the kind of behavior that is necessary for increased productivity, obviously that's a part of the whole growth matrix. Recently, last week, Peter Bunting made his presentation in Parliament, and he asked the question, why is growth important? He didn't answer it himself, except by saying yes, but he quoted from an author who said, people at this point in time in world history, people are demanding their governments do more to impose their life, to improve their lives faster, something which policymakers are unable to deliver under conditions of anemic growth. Rising income inequality and a stagnant economy are threats to both the developed and the developed world, and leaders can no longer afford to ignore this gathering storm. But we have had this kind of situation in Jamaica for some 40 years or more, anemic growth. What is, I think, encouraging at this point is that there seems to be a convergence between the two political parties on some fundamentals in relation to macroeconomic stability, which I understand is necessary, if not necessarily sufficient, for growth to occur at some time. This has not been so for many, many years. It began in earnest just a few years ago with Peter Phillips and what they call the Economic Reform Program, which the people of Jamaica saw as the austerity program, and voted them out, and has been continued by the present administration with the mantra of hoping for prosperity. Now, Dr. Nigel Clark, in a speech to at the Jamaica Pegasus last Thursday, indicated the areas of macroeconomic indicators, etc., that are not only being followed now, but were initiated in a very substantive and substantial way in the last few years. But at the end of it, he says, economic growth, however, has lagged. In the discourse and the dialogue that has taken place in the last budget debate and in the recent week or two, there has been, what has been missing from it is the approach, an approach which has over the past years been seen to be blaming either Peter or Paul. Right? So that to me represents an advance in the way that the political leadership is handling our economy. In some of the ways over the past, in particular after political independence, that governments have tried to answer the question of speaking to the demands of the masses of the Jamaican people, whether it is 1838, whether it is 1938, whether it is now, right? Was to try to, when we got into office, either administration, was to try to coax the bureaucracy into implementing what the policies of the various administrations are. In the 60s, we had a plethora, if you remember, of institutions called statutory boards. That was a response by the political leadership to the demands of the people for improvement in their lives, because the bureaucracy that we had inherited from the British was stodgy and didn't move very well. That was followed by things called executive agencies. Politicians themselves, the leaders, some of us even went overboard with the appointments of aides, whether special assistants, personal assistants, all kinds of assistants, to try to ameliorate the policy delivery, the program delivery process. But those have ended up in a public sector which now is in need of, and has been in need of reform for donkey's years. I could go on and on to give examples of how our political leadership, in attempting to address the needs of the people. I don't, from my own experience interfacing with politicians. I don't accept that the vast majority of us intend to go in there and get rich quickly. I have dealt with many politicians, and they have, most of them that I know, have gone into this thing with a good heart.
We take our final break, but don't go anywhere. We have more highlights for you after this.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, Fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
The Good Life, your trusted source for useful health and wellness information, lifestyle tips for the mind, body, and soul. Tune in Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
There's only one recommendation for funding that is ever going to come from me, and that is funding from a bank.
This is the cost to build, and it includes every nail and screw for the building.
Our motto is building communities, building a nation.
Get in the know with the world of real estate with Business Access TV's Home Sweet Home, Sundays at 4:30 p.m.
Thanks for staying with us, and if you're just tuning in, we're here at the 5th Annual Joan Duncan Memorial Lecture with DK Duncan. Now for more highlights.
I know the topic for this afternoon, political leadership, an enabler or disabler to Jamaica's economic growth. When I look at the Jamaica going back, I think, before independence, and you look at the various periods of times, the different parties that have come in and out to help to manage and guide this country. If we take independence until now, pretty much, I think you could say the two major parties have been at the wicket almost, don't hold me to it, but almost equal. Almost. And I think when parties go into power, they tend not to want to continue things that the other side started. And so you get a lot of energy being spent reversing things, trying to put something new in place. And it's time, energy, it's money that's lost, that's just gone. Whether it could be something simple as repainting a school because they didn't like the color that it was painted, and I've seen examples of this in my growing up days. It's only recently, I think, that we have come to appreciate the power of, I should say, good policy continuity. And we've just seen that demonstrated most recently with the most recent IMF agreement, the most recent program. we didn't spend time saying we're going to try to renegotiate the program.
I believe that the most essential resource for development in any nation, any country, is a God-fearing, well-rounded citizenry whose basic physical needs are adequately met, their communities governed daily by sustainable values, and a well-educated populace, while the national affairs are managed by God-fearing leaders of impeccable integrity and moral rectitude, totally committed to human flourishing and the common good. Any form of leadership which is not guided and undergirded by the Judeo-Christian values under God will inevitably be a disabler to sustainable economic growth. As I listened to the presenter, I noticed that some of the challenges that he highlighted could be better handled and balanced by persons who are consistently submitting to the values of God, guided by the Spirit of God. I believe that a major question leaders in the political arena, and all leaders, but particularly in the political arena, since we're focusing on that this evening, is that once ask the question and grapple with who is your ultimate authority. Am I ultimately accountable to God or to the party, my political party, or the various stakeholders who got me into office? To whom am I ultimately accountable? And once we have a clear understanding of that, then it would better enable us to make the right decisions which will redound to the best interest and welfare of the constituents. Political leadership has both enabled and disabled economic growth at different points in our history, as some of them were highlighted. And I believe that where there is creative tension among three pillars: relationship with God, relationship with the citizens, quality relationship with the citizens, and also quality relationship with the private sector, donor agency, and external governments, all this undergirded by the Judeo-Christian values and principles, then we will see political leadership being an enabler rather than a disabler.
My personal big takeaway from this discussion today is around the values, that we must have politics that are based on values. And that leads us to, once you create that value set that you live inside of, that last statement by Dr. Duncan, then gives you what is your own social consciousness that you live in, which then gives you that ideology. How do we articulate that ideology so that we can have a shared value set, a shared belief system, a shared system of belief in how our society should evolve, that would cause us to be empowered to get that kind of inclusive growth, is a question I think that we are left here to answer. Because we have not, over the years, we have kind of lost that, and we've become very transactional in the politics, really actually broken down to the point where as we say in Jamaica, we buy votes. That has to stop, so that instead of buying votes, people vote because they have true hope, not hope in jingling, not hope in growth as a thing in and of itself, but growth with a basis of creating the kind of society that we want, creating the value set that we want.
That brings us to the end of our coverage of the 5th Annual Joan Duncan Memorial Lecture. Until next time, I'm Javon Keys. Stay tuned to Business Access TV. Serious about business.
Hi, I'm Richard Pandoy, CEO for the Separate Group of Companies.
You're watching Business Access TV. We're serious about business.
And taking on the world with you is Jamaica Magazine. Stay tuned.
Positivity, I change my mood. Me I rock this brand new attitude. Dancing to this rhythm of life.
Hi there, I'm Simone Wolf with your JIS News of the Week. The Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, is making more than $50 million available for investments in a number of projects in Jamaica. IDB Invest General Manager James P. Scriven says tourism, infrastructure, transportation, ports, roads, as well as the financial sector are the areas that will benefit. Jamaica has received $36.16 million from the government of the People's Republic of China to construct the Western Children's Hospital in St. James and other projects.
I feel certain that the signing is another positive development and demonstration of the effective and strong cooperation between our countries.
Meanwhile, upgrading work is about to begin on the Chapelton Community Hospital in Clarendon. United States-based entity Push Start Foundation is providing $1 million to execute the project, for which ground was broken recently. Still on health, the ministry will be developing a sexual and reproductive health policy that will guide strategies to reduce maternal mortality rates.
A sexual and reproductive health policy will create a framework for identifying effective strategies to reduce maternal mortality rates, including strengthening the linkages between obstetric and NCD programs and reviewing our capacity within the health sector to respond effectively to cases of unsafe abortions.
Preliminary figures indicate that Tax Administration Jamaica, TAJ, surpassed the revenue collections target for the second quarter of this fiscal year. TAJ says that has pushed year-to-date collections to $153.1 billion, 2% above the September projection of $149.8 billion. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the National Housing Trust is on track to deliver an additional 4,144 housing solutions by the end of the fiscal year in March 2019.
You have Shekels coming, that is in Clarendon, 48 units. You have Latium in St. James, 183 units. You have Twickenham 4, phase 4 in St. Catherine, that's 134 units. In Manchester, there is Perth 1A, that's 118 units to come. Then there is Fontabelle in Westmoreland, 355. We have Antrovy in St. James, 170. We have Rasta City in Kingston, 93. We have the Estuary 2 in St. James, 1,100. And we have Perth Phase 2 in Manchester, 1,314.
1,500 additional young people will be trained under the Jamaica National Service Corps program. They will be recruited and trained in 3 batches by October 2019.
We are indeed pleased by the progress that has been made in this program, and it has been so successful that the next cohort that's to begin training on the 28th of October will be the largest contingent of persons to ever be trained by the Jamaica Defense Force.
The minister without portfolio in the Agriculture Ministry, J.C. Hutchinson, told a JIS think tank this week that bamboo is being explored as a possible alternative to the production of plastic and styrofoam containers as government embarks on a policy to ban the use of those materials.
All the plastic that you can think of can be made from bamboo. So we are going to be looking that this can be a big alternative for all the plastic that there is that we are now presently using.
And finally, local government minister Desmond McKenzie says a new drainage system will be installed to address flooding along Marcus Garvey Drive in Kingston. The project will be jointly coordinated by the National Works Agency and the Port Authority of Jamaica. And those were some of the stories making news this week. I'm Simone Wolf.
Even though a trough is likely for the island next week, tomorrow will be perfect for beachgoers. So expect bright sunshine and clear skies all day.
Yeah, right. Like how yesterday, Una tell me say it's go bright and pretty. I wash my clothes and a pure rainfall. I'll know them not dry.
And today, we want to hear from you, our viewers. So call us now to get your weather questions answered.
Yeah, man, me go now call.
And we have a call online now. What is your question?
How come you tell me that today I go bright and pretty and a pure rainfall in my community?
It's not as simple as you might think to predict weather with full accuracy. To provide a forecast, we measure and assess current atmospheric conditions over various areas and compare that to previous observations. This allows us to have a general idea of what conditions to expect in a particular area. Rainfall, however, can be difficult to forecast, especially over small areas. From our analyses and observations, we can know that conditions will be ideal for rainfall, and we have a good idea of the general region where rain is likely, but it is sometimes difficult to give that precise location.
Oh, so you're saying even though you can't tell me it will rain in my town, you can't necessarily tell me it will rain in my little district?
You've got it.
Oh, wait, I have another question. But you're not talking about one system where I affect the island. Where next week? You think it's so early we need to know about that?
When it comes to telling the public about severe weather, the nature of the system determines how soon we start to share that information. For systems like tropical wave or a trough that may produce severe weather, advisories are issued 2 to 3 days before a system is forecasted to affect our area. For tropical cyclones such as hurricanes, advisories are issued once a system is expected to be formed within 48 hours, even if it will not affect Jamaica.
You know what else me always want to know? The Met Office and ADPEM, them do the same thing?
No. The Met Service is responsible for monitoring the weather conditions over the island and territorial waters and issuing reliable and timely weather services. ADPEM, which stands for the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, is responsible for maintaining a state of national preparedness for all types of disasters. When the system that could cause a disaster is a weather phenomenon, the Met Service monitors the progress to forecast and to determine the extent of the weather conditions.
You know, I never know there's so much things the Met Service do, and that weather forecasting is so complicated.
Yes, it is. And if you have more questions in the future, please feel free to contact the Met Service.
As a child less influenced by wireless connections, I was one of those who ran around the yard shouting, 1, 2, 3, red light! And interestingly, as an adult, I now realize that this may have been preparing me for life as I now know it. Not so much about the fun and the games, but the stop, get ready, go context remains.
Traffic signal, as we refer to it as, it's a system of electronic controls that we use to assist in managing traffic at particular locations along our corridors. In managing the flow, there's a system. We have mast arms. We have the signal heads. Signal heads are what you'll see, the lights, whether green, amber, or red. We have wires that are connected to a control box. The control box has a number of components that assist us in managing the flows through the intersection or junction. Now, before we actually signalize an intersection or junction, we do traffic counts. So we know where it is the bulk of the vehicles are coming from or they're heading to. You want to have that information so that in setting the timings, in rehearsing the timings for persons to go through, you know what amount of green time you're going to be giving to a particular phase of the intersection as opposed to another. Our traffic signals, the systems are on a fiber optic network that is actually right across the country. So we have a combination of fiber and microwave links that we're using to roll out what we call a public safety network. And the systems that we have been incorporating our camera systems with these. And so we're able to monitor traffic through our traffic management center that we have at the corporate office 140 Maxfield Avenue. And it gives us the ability to change the timings that we have at these locations remotely. In other words, we don't have to have our officers physically going to the location, changing the timings.
In the Traffic Management Center, we have something called QuickNet. So in present day right now, this is what we use to remotely manage all traffic lights. What you're seeing on the screen now is a virtual display of what is in the cabinet at the intersection via our traffic camera. At the first display, you can see this is our Model 170 controller. This is what we use as a standard in Kingston. So right now you can see all the visual displays. This is what exactly you see in a traffic cabinet. Beside it, you see a graphical representation of what is happening at the stoplight. So at the cameras, you can see two through movements and a turning movement, moving from green to amber to red. And now you can see the two turning movements start. So you can see two turning movements and a left turning movement happening right now, as well as a forward turning movement at the next part of the intersection. So the graphic can show you the plan, the status, the cycle length, offset values, traffic statistics. So using this, you can see if the stoplight is working efficiently or not. So this will tell us if the stoplight is down, off, in any problem or whatever. So before people have to call and report a stoplight is down, with this system, when everything is integrated, you won't have to. You automatically know. What you're seeing now on the screen is a viewing of Halfway Tree area, the Kingston Metropolitan area, where we can now monitor traffic remotely. So before, to put up a traffic light, somebody would have to go months prior and record the traffic data to put up a signal. Now we can have somebody here remotely counting traffic, as well as several different other specialized cameras to count the traffic for us. So specifically, we can look at specific intersections, say for this one example. If we see the traffic is building up, we can allot more time to a specific intersection to allow the through traffic to flow.
We have well over 100 locations across the country where we have signals, and the number continues to grow because every year we look at new locations to signalize. The demand is quite high, and the demand grows with the numbers of vehicles that we are seeing on our roads.
Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, celebrating over 20 years of investment in community development. JSIF has forged relationships with international funding partners as well as private and public sector entities. Let us continue to invest to reduce vulnerabilities. Let us build our social capital and resilient infrastructures to ensure full participation in Vision 2030. JSIF, investing for community development.
Now, I don't know about you, but for me, it is an absolute pleasure to have been bathed by the spills of our golden sun, to have been wrapped by the varying shades of blue, to have had the secrets of my culture, my expression and lifestyle etched in by the whispers of the winds, sweeping 18 degrees north.
This is Jamaica, this is our land. We have our future with God in our plan. We'll play our part building this great nation. This is Jamaica, this is our land.
The allure of the landscape, the white coral sands, the sea-carved cliffs of the shorelines, the warm, free spirit of the people beckons tenderly to natives and visitors alike. This natural paradise of over 4,000 square miles is home to about 2.7 million English-speaking inhabitants, principally of African roots. Jamaicans are a sport-loving people. Cricket, track and field, and football are among the most popular spectator sports. The strength and resilience of the people are embodied in world-class athletes like Asafa Powell, Veronica Campbell, Shelly-Ann Fraser, and Usain Lightning Bolt. The vibrant city of Kingston, the country's capital, is built around the 7th largest natural harbor in the world and is a center of economic and political life. The second city, Montego Bay, is a virtual tourist mecca.
Welcome to Jamaica.
Tropical climate and seasonal rainfall make Jamaica home to some of the most exotic flora and fauna seen anywhere in the world. The magnificent mountains that form a ridge across the length of the country are home to the more than 300 species of herbs, plant, and animals that are endemic to the country. Towering some 7,500 feet above sea level is the Blue Mountain's highest peak, the cradle of the world's best tasting coffee. Jamaica's economic policies encourage foreign investment in areas that earn or save foreign exchange, generate employment, and use local raw materials. The entire economy revolves around a well-developed financial services sector that operates on international best practice standards. The Financial Services Commission, FSC, as well as the Bank of Jamaica, regulate and supervise the industry. Cross-border trading with other markets in the Caribbean underscores the depth of the market. The Port of Kingston has the 7th largest natural harbor in the world and is a premier trading hub of the Caribbean. Kingston's strategic location at the crossroads of major trade routes has attracted many of the world's leading shipping lines to invest here. The two international airports, Norman Manley in Kingston and Sangster in Montego Bay, allow easy entry and exit from the island and are complemented by a well-organized on-the-ground transport system. A comprehensive healthcare system that promotes physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being is the foundation on which the country seeks to enhance the quality of life for all its people. Jamaica is a country infused with pride in its unique history, stunning landscape, and influential culture. It has much to offer its people and the curious traveler. The beauty of nature and the creative spirit of the Jamaican people have combined to shape a nation and country that is one of the most beautiful in the world.
You must know this song if you're a Jamaican. Jackass with him long tail, bag of cocoa coming down. No worry him, not tease him, not make him bankra, squeeze him. Bankra, the word, bankra. You heard it right. Bankra, or as we know it, hamper, is a big basket. including the type which hangs over the sides of a donkey. Jackass with him long tail, bag of cocoa coming down.
Reggae music is bass, brother.
Yes, sir.
Reggae music is roots.
Not the dread.
Yes, sir. It's our kind of music, that, brother. What me say?
If reggae can ever be edged to a set place, then 13 Brentford Road is its home. It was here at Studio One in 1968 that Rocksteady briefly went back 20 years, married the folk rhythms of Mento, and gave birth to reggae.
The new art form experienced its share of birthing pains as the so-called elites of society struggled to accept its revolutionary presence, while those from whose experiences it sprung cleaved onto this evolution in expression.
Reggae music is something that I think most of our people are ashamed of. I don't know why this should be, because it is coming from our roots. So much people are naked like them shame.
I agree.
Truly.
Sure, them just shame what truly belongs to them. What me say?
That's how we steal sometime, do I?
Truly.
Well, I think that the rhythm is very good, and we like it a lot in Jamaica here.
As myself coming from New York, I only thought that I would dig soul music, just, you know, funky music. But as I hear the reggae music, I like it.
I like reggae music very much because, right, it shows a lot of culture, right? It tells from the plantation days, the type of music the people used to sing, right? And it sort of reveal what really was going on in that time, right? Up till now, right?
It's something you can't just sit down and listen to. You have, you know, you get the feeling to move.
Reggae music is a high style music. Same way like how soul music belongs to stage, reggae music belongs to Jay. And my favorite artist are Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Probably because it's part of me, you know, and we create it, I don't know. But I think I enjoy playing reggae very much.
I really dig reggae music, but whenever time I hear reggae music, I feel like dancing, you know?
I'm in a dancing mood.
Generations later, and the narrative retains echoes of past sentiments with the addition of new layers.
Reggae change, I can't say like it changed a bit, you know, but still reggae beat. The old one is better, the new one not much to me. I just love the old stuff.
When I'm working, I listen to my music, keep me going, you know.
If me go dance on them music then I'm play, me not really stay there.
It means everything. It's a part of Jamaicans' history, so it defines who we are as Jamaicans.
It means everything. It means love, it means peace, it means understanding.
Reggae is a lifestyle. Reggae is a lifestyle, you know, Jamaican lifestyle. Yeah, even the lifestyle where you live, because even they tell you in the farm, you know, they work hard every day, hustle hard every day, and the music says reggae. So, reggae is life, man, you know?
Reggae has become what some prophesied, a few decried, and almost none could truly imagine.
Reggae is no longer seen in the world as alternative music or third world music or new wave music.
It's doing good. I think a lot of guys who make a lot of money from it, but it is good. I think it may be probably next to tourism.
People know Jamaica not only for our sand, sun and beach, but they know us for our music. So when you go abroad and people be like, you're from Jamaica, you know Bob Marley, you know such and such, all because of our music. So reggae is our definition of Jamaica.
It is the strongest component in the brand Jamaica construct.
Reggae artists and those who specialize in its offshoot dancehall have won major musical awards. In life and past death, its greatest ambassador retains an undeniable international presence that has demanded respect from world-renowned publications. Since 2009, the entire month of February has been dedicated to its celebration at home. It was instrumental in garnering capital Kingston the designation by UNESCO as a creative city of music. And in 2017, the Jamaican government submitted a nomination dossier to have reggae inscribed on UNESCO's representative list of intangible cultural heritage for humanity.
This international protection instrument will ensure that the origins of reggae and its derivatives are appropriately documented and safeguarded for present and future generations. It is fascinating to reminisce on the early days when Jamaican music struggled to germinate, and the pioneers were classified in some cases as undesirables right here at home.
But even then, in its infancy,
Well, I think that reggae is a good music, here to stay, and I think reggae music belongs to us, and we ought to show it, right?
And now,
reggae is hot commodity and the world has embraced it, but we are proud to declare that we still own it.
Respect must be given whenever respect is due. One more time, let's give it up for Jamaica and reggae music.
From ska to rocksteady, reggae and dancehall, Jamaica's music continues to impact the world. And this year, the 8th staging of the JIS Heritage Competition celebrates our vibrant and dynamic musical heritage. I say yeah, I say yeah, what I say, to what I say. Can you hear me say yeah, yeah, to what I say.
Students aged 9 to 12 enter the essay competition. Write 500 words on the topic, how has Jamaican music contributed to the country's growth and development?
Give it to me one time. Give it to me 2 times.
Secondary level students enter the poster competition with digital or illustrated pieces, and tertiary level students, the photo competition is for you.
And right now, someone else has.
The topic for the poster and photo competition is Jamaica's music, the stage for growth and development.
Now moonshine, bright tonight, how we got shine big all night till daylight.
For additional information, visit the JIS website at www.jis.gov.jm. Email heritage essay, heritage poster, heritage photo, all at jis.gov.jm, or call 876-926-359024.
It's my legacy, all I've got to say. Hey, reggae, my song.
The competition is now open.
And all entries must be submitted by Sunday, October 28th.
Prizes and surprises await you in the 2018 Jamaica Information Service Heritage Competition.
Lord, I feel like crying now. I feel like moving. And I feel
And this is where the show closes for today. Like, follow, and subscribe to our social media pages. Download the apps for the days you go out to see the sun, feel the rain, walking without fear or doubt as you challenge the day with an open mind. I'm Theodore Henry. Thank you for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
I'm Butch Hendrickson. You're watching BATV, serious about business.
Designing your home into a vivacious abode that charms everyone can simply be a matter of choosing the right tiles. This week we showcase a homeowner's choices as well as take a look at the variety of options at Creative Building Finishes.
I am Karen McCormack. And I am Naoka McCormack. And welcome to our home. Today we'll be showing you all around our home. So, Mommy, I'll do the kitchen. Here is my favorite place. I love to cook. But here we go with the details. We use mosaic tiles in order to accentuate the countertops. The flooring, it matches back with everything we have in here. We chose the style, the countertop, mosaic tiles, the tiles on the floor, because it is trendy and it gives us a warm feeling when I'm in the kitchen cooking. In here we have the guest bathroom. It is small, but yet still we wanted to show off the different textures tiles that we have in here. Right here we have details, mosaic details, as well as another detailing right here. In here is the guest bedroom. The tiles are just the same as the kitchen. Come in.
This is my statement piece. When I say statement, this is my favorite part of all the house. This is my stone-cut wall that was done to my suiting and liking. This is my here that my guests sit in. Whenever they are here, then they can relax and then enjoy my statement piece. This is the powder room. This is another bedroom, but this is my master bedroom. Originally, I wanted the wooded floor, but upon research, I found that the wooded floor was not suitable for ground level. So I decided to go with the wood plank tile to get that natural look. Hence, I use this. This is my master bathroom. Paintings, if you look around, you can see that everything inside here coordinates. I just love this bathroom. I chose the rustic look because I wanted something non-traditional.
This has been a little tour of how we use various styles to enhance our beautiful home.
More Home Sweet Home when we return.
You see island I wear, them are the best thing in the island I swear. Everywhere in the island I hear. Everybody with a eye problem, them a talk about the place name island I wear. Them a say, island I wear. Them a say, island I wear. Everybody with a eye problem, them a talk about island I wear.
Island Eyewear offers free eye testing every day, all day, at all locations island-wide. Conditions apply.
Island I wear. Everybody with a eye problem, them a talk about island I wear.
It's season 12, and Wealth Magazine Business Access is here to keep you business savvy. With an impressive mix of some of Jamaica's most inspiring business moguls, we continue to keep Jamaica informed, empowered, and ready to dominate. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. only on BATV.
You're watching
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Caring Hands Season 3 continues to effect change in a changing environment.
Many of us were raised by grandmothers, right? So, I mean, we know the wisdom that these people have.
Going beyond business.
The little leaders of today are our leaders of tomorrow. And with the proper education, we'll have very good leadership coming from that.
That's Season 3 of Caring Hands, creating change and shaping lives, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Welcome back to Home Sweet Home. Andrine France from Creative Building Finishes has so much to share on tiles and using them to enhance your home.
I am Andrine France. I am the marketing officer at Creative Building Finishes, Jamaica's premier tile boutique. This project is a very special project. With this home, there was literally every space in the home, from outdoor to indoor, is purely tiles. It is a very traditional, contemporary home. We did from the driveway, which is outdoor tiles, and come all the way into the kitchen where, you know, we have the mosaics, the backsplash, and everybody knows that, you know, that has to go perfectly. You step a little further into the dining and living room area where, you know, it's basically the attention space. It is the entertaining space for guests. And so there had to be a wow factor. The homeowner wanted a wow factor for this space as well. And that's where we have this lovely gold split face ledge stone. And that's why that was selected. And it goes perfectly with just the entire style and feel of the home. Any of the bathrooms, whether it be the master bath or the powder rooms that are adjoining the living area. And for a powder room, it has to be very intimate, but at the same time give you a feel that you're not being boxed in. So the tiles selected for there were very light to keep it very open and airy feeling. The master bath had different elements, wall tiles, mosaics. There is, you know, a little tub area as well as the walk-in shower. And so every aspect of the home from outdoor to indoor was very special, and the location made it just a dream for, you know, our customer as well as for Creative to just come fully and just do everything and have her dream be what she wanted it to be. There are three main categories of tiles. There is ceramic, porcelain, and natural stone tiles. Natural stone tiles are made of the natural material that we basically harvest or dig out of the earth. So there is, you know, marble, there's travertine, there's limestone, there is slate, there is coral stone. And those are naturally made stones that are basically cut and shaped and honed into fitting whether your floor or your wall. The difference between ceramic and porcelain. A porcelain tile is, they're both clay-based tiles. A porcelain tile is actually a tile that is baked for much, much longer. So it is more dense, meaning that it is more water resistant. You won't have water absorption in it. It makes it also harder. It's very tough. In itself, it is harder to break or to scratch. It is more high traffic resistant. And so it's a stronger tile. Basically, a porcelain tile is a stronger tile than for a ceramic tile. Normally when somebody thinks about tiles, for the most part, they think about floor. And within the category of floor, you know, there are your outdoor, which, you know, for your patio, your veranda. Aside from that, there is pool area, because persons don't think about your pool as, you know, whether it's outdoor or indoor, they just think about it as somewhere else. And you tend to use mosaics for those. We have special compressed glass mosaics that are specially for the pool, where it is water resistant. It can deal with any of the, you know, the chemicals that you may use to clean the pool, as well as, you know, the heat itself, because outdoor gets very hot. Aside from floor tiles, you have wall tiles. And wall tiles have invariably two categories. You have a wall tile that would have the same shape or kind of texture as a floor tile, and you have mosaics. And mosaics tend to be, you know, the small adjoint pieces to a mesh that you would normally put on your shower wall or your kitchen as the backing, which it is called a backsplash, which is the term we use for your bathroom as well. You tend to use that for whether a feature wall, the entire section in the bathroom, and funny enough, mosaics can also be used for your shower floor or your entire bathroom floor, depending on how much slip resistance you need in that particular area, or if you were using natural stone. Natural stone is also another form of tile that can be used on either wall or floor. For this split face ledge stone, we wouldn't use this on the floor. This would be horrible on your feet. So there's no way that we would recommend that. So this is definitely a focal point feature stone for your wall primarily. For your natural stones, you'd use marble, travertine, some ledge stone, coral stone, which tends to be used for outdoor areas as well. It can be for wall and for floor, but depending on the area, we'll, I guess, let you know what the best bet to go with is. So are there tiles for your roof? I wouldn't say roof per se. I would say we have tiles that can extend to your ceiling. So there's a trend that is going with a number of bathrooms where they'd like to extend the tiles from the ground, sometimes just from the floor up onto the ceiling. So they want to carry the one unison complete look from the bath all the way to the ceiling. So you'll see that in standing showers as well as the walk-in showers. So feature wall will go from the ground all the way to the end of where the shower is, to the limit of it. And so there's no break in the look at all. So it is more appealing to look at. There are major advantages for selecting tiles for your home or for commercial space as opposed to going with laminate or as opposed to going with wood. Living in a tropical island, for example, first thing, we have changes within the weather. You know, we have our rainy season where it can get very moist and cold. Wood will expand, and so you'll get little spaces in between that. Not to mention the fact that wood itself, you have the threat of water damage. So if any area should be flooded at all, you know, your wood is ruined. There's termites. There are a number of areas that struggle with that, and with wood look tiles in particular, you are protected against those elements, and it does last longer. Laminate itself, if you have heavy furniture and you know you like to rearrange your home a bit, pulling the furniture against the laminate will scratch it, and you don't have that issue with tiles. Laminate itself, because it is so much like wood, it can also expand and contract, and so you may have, you know, a bit of issues with it. It's also not as water resistant as tiles. In terms of pricing, ceramic tiles tend to be more economical as opposed to the porcelain and the natural stone. Natural stone, because it cannot be man-made and we can't just make it like that. We literally have to take it from the earth. So the value of it is much higher. And so that would make it, you know, just like diamonds as opposed to a cubic zirconium. You know, that would make natural stone the more higher end, more expensive. The porcelain, because of the process that it goes through and because it is more durable, would have it below the natural stone, and the ceramic is more economical, more budget friendly.
We take our final break on Home Sweet Home. We'll be right back.
We're taking you beyond our shores, across the region and around the world. Every week, BATV gives you in-depth reporting on the major stories that gripped headlines in the Caribbean and on the international scene. Join us Sundays for This Week Abroad. Business Access TV, serious about business at home and abroad.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show, and Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV, serious about business.
The Good Life, your trusted source for useful health and wellness information, lifestyle tips for the mind, body, and soul. Tune in Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Thanks for staying with us on Home Sweet Home.
There are a few things that you need to consider when you're purchasing tiles. First thing, where are you tiling? You know, your tiler or your consultant or, you know, who you're purchasing from, you need to know. Is it indoor? If it is outdoor, it's recommended that your tiles are slip resistant. Is it going to be exposed to rain? You know, that kind of thing. You want to know moisture and water resistance that you need to consider. If it is your pool area, then you know it definitely have to select tiles that are able to, you know, deal with any weather issues, can deal with water, any chemicals that you might be using. You need to specify as well, if it's indoor, where inside. If it is just your living room, you know, your high traffic areas, you want to think about, you need a tile that is going to be resistant to high traffic. If you're going to be tiling your wall, what wall is it that you're tiling? If it is you're doing a kitchen backsplash, then you know they're ideal tiles that you need to consider. Wall tiles, for one thing, are not to be used for the floor in any way at all. Anywhere where you're gonna have high traffic walking, wall tiles are not ideal. They are not made to uphold the weight. any kind of abrasion that will happen, or any furniture, or even just walking overall. Wall tiles are not to be used for the floor, so that you have to take into consideration. It goes down further into the specific rooms if you are tiling your shower area. So let's say the shower floor itself that you're tiling, you also want to consider that that area has to be slip resistant as well. You know, water is going to be there, so those things need to be taken into account. And even a little further than that, if you are tiling with natural stone, it is always best that you use white thin set, because the stone is natural and it is porous. And so if you use other shades or other colors of thin set, depending on the color of the stone, it may absorb the color from the thin set and come through and give your stone a different look. And so ideally you want to use white thin set when you're using natural stone. Natural stone, of course, because it is also porous, it's not stain resistant. And so any kind of stain you might get on it, you want to make sure that it is protected before any such spills, whether it be your wall or your floor. So you want to have it sealed. So you want to make sure that your natural stone is sealed as well. So there are a number of things that you need to consider before purchasing a tile, or when you're purchasing a tile, to know, okay, am I using the right tile based on the area I want to tile, and how am I protecting it? When you've purchased your tiles and you've installed them, you want to know how it is that you're going to care for your tiles so it's looking polished, if it is a polished look, or brand new, or just looking good for as long as you want it, for as long as it can. And there are a number of tile cleaners that are available at Creative Building Finishes, of course. So because we supply, you know, not only the tiles, but the installation material, as well as the cleaners and the sealers for the tile. So you want to, for your ceramic and your porcelain tile, you want to make sure that you have your cleaner for it. We have grout cleaners for that. We have, as well as for your mosaics, which you'll tend to have a little bit more grout lines in your mosaics, depending on, you know, which one you use. You want to have your grout cleaner as well. That also helps to keep your tile looking new and not dingy, or, you know, because the grout color will change. And so we have special cleaners for that. Another way to keep your tile looking fresh and new for as long as it possibly can is through having it sealed. Your tile will get faded and will change color over time, and I'm specifically talking about your natural stone. And so to make sure that it is stain resistant and it keeps that bright color, and so it's not as faded as well, it's always best to seal it. And so that helps to keep the look of the tile as bright and as beautiful as it can for as long as you'll have it installed. I wouldn't suggest for all your tiles to use your soap powder or for bleach in particular itself. I mean, we can all clean our tiles, you know, your floor tiles with, you know, your regular, you know, disinfectant and, you know, floor cleaners that you can pick up at the supermarket, which is fine. If you have natural stone, though, I would not suggest, it is highly not recommended, it's not recommended at all to use chemical or abrasive cleaners, because they will help to damage the stone. It will break down any sealant that you may have on the tile that is protecting it, and so you'll have to possibly regrout, or reseal the tile. And so that in itself is not recommended, whether you're using travertine, you're using marble, you know, limestone, coral stone. It is best not to clean any of your natural stone tiles with bleach, with lime, with anything abrasive, because it breaks down anything that is protecting the tile, as well as it will harm the stone itself and change the color. It will also change the color of the stone. So top trends when in tiling, the first one, for the most part, I'd have to say wood look. The suppliers that we get our tiles from, which is from, you know, Italy, from Spain, from Brazil, they have high definition printing, which will make the tile look so much like wood you won't believe it, especially for the darker tones. But absolutely you can't tell the difference between, in many of them, the tile or if it is wood. And so wood look tiles are just in demand. They're just at the top of the trend. Aside from that, you also have a lot more persons these days, when they tend to think about tiles, they think about floor and maybe the kitchen backsplash, but much more, you know, it is an alternative to paint. Paint doesn't last as long as a wall tile. It gets dirty easily. You have to constantly be cleaning it, and in cleaning it sometimes you end up taking off a bit of the paint itself, and so it changes the color. You know, this is something you have to spruce up, you know, probably once a year, because whether it be outdoor or indoor, you know, the elements, the sun will burn it out. And so a trend is to do, whether you're doing a feature wall or if it is, you know, the exterior of the house, to have something similar to this, but we also in porcelain tiles, not just in natural stone, for persons to do wall cladding, which is normally done on the exterior. And that can be matte or glossy, depending on the look you're going for. You can do it on your perimeter wall that's meeting your gate. So wall tiles are high trend. From last year to this year, in terms of wall tiles, the trend is definitely 3D tiles. The three-dimensional tiles are it for tiling. You're seeing more of them in, you know, commercial spaces, whether it be hotels, which we have a number of projects that have turned out beautifully, because when you come to with a residential area and wherever it is that you're going to be welcoming guests. So if you're at home, you're welcoming guests in your living room. And so you want something that will just create a conversation piece or will just wow them and let them feel, you know, I like being here. And so, you know, a feature wall is it. And those 3D tiles make the biggest impact you can believe. The importance of tiles in your home, in creating, when you've made that step and you have your own space, you want your space to feel like yours, or you want it to feel warm, or you want it to reflect your personality, you want it to reflect your style. These are the elements of the home that you can't change, and so you want to be able to make sure that they represent you and your style. And so the importance of having that is not just from where it is that you're walking, but what you're seeing when you're walking through the house, you know, when you're going to prepare a meal, how you feel about cooking in that space. You know, when you're, you know, using your cutting board or you're putting in your spices for whatever dish over the stove, you know, you want to feel like you're on HGTV. You know, everybody wants their home to feel like their dream home. And tiles play a very important part in keeping that look and feel, because it's about the look and the feel of not just the texture of the tile from the touch of it, but also from, you know, how it makes you feel, how it makes the persons that you are entertaining feel. And because it has to be, or it tends to be there for a very, very long time, you know, it is important the quality that you select, and that it is also what you can get to make your home sweet home.
Violence against women is a violation of human rights. Its impact ranges from immediate to long-term physical, mental, and sexual consequences, sometimes resulting in death. It negatively impacts women's general well-being and can prevent us from fully participating in society. Be a better human being. No more violence against women. No more.
Hi, I'm Richard Pandoy, CEO for the Separate Group of Companies. You're watching Business Access TV. We're serious about business.
This week abroad.
Will, the foreign investors see an opportunity to invest directly into St. Lucia?
St. Lucian businesses looking for Taiwanese partnerships.
I would ask Cabinet on Thursday to approve and authorize $25 million.
TNT residents to receive funds for flood recovery.
You can't take away decades of effective collaboration over one incident.
Saudi Investment Summit secures $56 billion deal. Hello and welcome to This Week Abroad. I'm Javon Keys. Let's go around the region. Last week, Trinidad and Tobago experienced one of its worst floods in the last 100 years, causing damage to communities, households, and general infrastructure. In order to help with the recovery, Prime Minister Keith Rowley says he will seek approval from Cabinet to disburse $25 million in funds to those affected.
I would ask Cabinet on Thursday to approve and authorize $25 million initially, if that is what is required, to assist persons who are going to require assistance from the Treasury, and we'll ensure that that money is properly spent and spent as quickly as possible on those persons who have been affected.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Social Development and Family Services, Sherry-Ann Cherlow Cockburn, says there will also be grants offered to replace furniture.
The ministry is ready to provide grants to replace household items such as living room sets, dining room sets, refrigerators, stove, mattresses, beds. We are ready, we are mobilized, and we are just waiting for the water to subside and for us to go in to do the assessment and have the checks prepared so that those things could be replaced.
Funds will also be disbursed to students who would have lost items. We'll have more on the funding and relief efforts for Trinidad and Tobago in our One Caribbean segment in a bit. Now in the Bahamas, there are growing concerns over a possible 2% increase in taxes for workers. The increase is as a result of a proposed revamped national health insurance scheme which would cost $100 million. Bahamian Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis says the proposal is still in discussions and a report is being written to help with the consultation process.
That is not a definitive report or the government's decision to say we are increasing taxes on the Bahamian taxpayers. So they must understand that we have not brought forth any definitive report. We would have to commence discussion with the medical fraternity and other components of the medical community to seek their views and opinion as we move forward. And we will report to the nation as to the proposal being put forth.
Dr. Minnis says the government is aware of the issues being faced in the health sector and they are working to have them resolved to provide the best health care for citizens. And still in the Bahamas, where the Labor on the Block initiative continues to help Bahamians with job opportunities. Last week, it was inmates at the Department of Corrections' turn to access possible jobs once they're released. Minister of Labor Dion Fowkes says this partnership with the Department of Corrections could help alleviate some social issues.
This is very important to us. It's a second chance for a lot of the inmates. It's very difficult to survive. When you leave the prison, you cannot find a job. So we at the Department of Labor and the government, our Prime Minister is very committed to improving the lives of Bahamians. And if you have a job and if you're working and you're making money, then you can take care of your family and you can enjoy life. Subsequently, all the other social issues that we have will be decreased.
The minister says a number of companies participated.
Some 30 inmates who are now being interviewed. They're all going to be released within the next 3 months. We have a total of 16 companies who are also represented here, and they all have vacancies. So we're very hopeful that some of the inmates will get employment upon their release from the Department of Corrections.
It's a deal. That's according to the Guyana Teachers Union GTU after some 2 months of back and forth negotiations, protests and discussions. President of the GTU, Mark Light, says the agreement reached with the Guyanese government provides more benefits for the teachers and will see them receiving some outstanding items from 2016.
We look forward to a new agreement in the new phase in 2019 that we can have more benefits given to our teachers. But looking at the present agreement, we believe that our teachers are going to benefit from outstanding clothing allowances. They're going to benefit from increases that date back to 2016.
However, the president says not all things requested were granted, so they're not completely pleased with the outcome. The GTU president says he hopes the agreement will pave the way for more discussions, which should take place next year. The St. Lucian government has been forging greater ties with Taiwan, particularly with the money to be received for the development of the Urinora International Airport. This is expected to increase business interests from the Asian country. That is why the Consultative Investment Forum, which took place last week, was seen as important as both St. Lucian businesses and prospective Taiwanese investors were present. The discussions helped create strategic partnerships among the parties. Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Commerce, Pegyan Sudat, says the event will help to set the way forward.
Some exchanging of ideas and so on. Later on we have a networking session, and the networking session will determine how we move on, how these partnerships are formed, if these partnerships are formed. Will they be joint ventures? Will they be as agents for the foreign investors? Will the foreign investors see an opportunity to invest directly into St. Lucia?
Invest St. Lucia as well as the Ministry of Tourism are expecting that the event will boost investments. When we come back, millions are being spent in the Twin Island Republic to aid in the recovery effort after massive flooding. More TWA on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
As the end of the year draws nigh and the celebrations begin, let us add some magic to the festivities with our BATV Christmas mix. Why settle for blah when you can have fa la 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 la? 60 advertising spots, 10 cross spots. This $1.6 million package is all yours for only $45,000. Don't wait. Contact our sales team today and take advantage of this incredible offer. Our gift to you. BATV Christmas Mix. Offer valid until December 31, 2018.
Go for God Family Church.
Today's message is for those of you who thought that Jesus was finished.
Inspiring messages.
I'm here to tell you today that you are excellent. God is excellent.
Empowerment from biblical motivation.
To be glorified means to endow with authority. A woman is a powerful, creative being.
Join Pastor Christopher Morgan and the Go for God team as we go for God.
The Good Life, your trusted source for useful health and wellness information, lifestyle tips for the mind, body, and soul. Tune in Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Having a corporate event, seminar, awards show, conference, product launch, workshop, or expo? Business Access TV is here to showcase your event. Contact our sales department at 908-0919, 906-6357, or 908-2775 for more information. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Caring Hands Season 3 continues to effect change in a changing environment.
Many of us were raised by grandmothers, right? So, I mean, we know the wisdom that these people have.
Going beyond business.
the leaders of today are our leaders of tomorrow. And with the proper education, we'll have very good leadership coming from that.
That's Season 3 of Caring Hands, creating change and shaping lives, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Welcome back to This Week Abroad, and thanks for joining us. Flood waters swept through many areas of Trinidad and Tobago last week, damaging infrastructure and crippling business activity. The government is now left to spend millions of dollars to help with the recovery exercise. Here's more from TTT News in Trinidad.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said Cabinet took a decision on Thursday morning that it would be reasonable and affordable to give flood victims a lump sum grant instead of several small grants. These grants will be valued at $15,000 and $20,000 to replace damaged items. However, for people living in Greenville, they will not be eligible for further assistance to repair their plumbing or electrical, as this will be undertaken by the HDC. The Prime Minister said Cabinet also took a decision to let tenants live rent-free and mortgage-free until January. He said while the response to the flooding was good, there were some areas where more could have been done. Among those areas, there could have been more rafts to help persons.
Those persons chose to remain there. And I mean, I understand why, because even though you're in that situation, in many instances you are more comfortable in that situation than in a shelter. Because in the shelter it is such a disrupted environment that you're sharing a common space with maybe 1 or 2 toilets in a community center. People rather stay in their homes and maintain some element of privacy.
The Prime Minister reiterated the grants issued are not a compensation, but assistance, stressing there is a difference between the two.
The Prime Minister also said people living in Greenville, La Hocata, will not be eligible for further assistance to repair their plumbing or electricals, as this will be undertaken by the Housing Development Corporation.
The state is inspecting every house to ensure that the electrical condition is back to normal and any plumbing assistance will be handled by the HDC. So people in Greenville will not be required to make submissions for electrical or plumbing assistance. They will get their $15,000 or $20,000 depending on whether the household is a household with children or a household without children.
The Prime Minister said Cabinet also took a decision that will give affected HDC tenants a little more money in their pockets to treat with their immediate needs.
We've asked the Minister of Housing to communicate with the mortgage agency to enter into some kind of a deferral arrangement until January, so that persons who have mortgages and liabilities of mortgage from HDC units with, I think it's TTMF, that the Ministry of Housing will enter into an arrangement with TTMF so that such persons can get some temporary deferral from their mortgage payments until January.
The Ministry of Planning and Development has received financial support in the form of grant funding from the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, towards emergency relief efforts for communities affected by the recent flooding. Line Minister Camille Robinson-Regis, who serves as a member of the Board of Governors of the CDB, stated that the assistance through the utilization of the Emergency Response Grant under the CDB's Disaster Management Strategy and Operational Guidelines amounts to US $200,000, which is approximately TT $1.3 million. The relief from this grant is to be executed by the United Nations Development Programme in collaboration with local authorities. Minister Robinson-Regis and President of the CDB, Dr. Warren Smith of Barbados, indicated that the government and the CDB are making every effort to have the funds disbursed and available for ongoing emergency flood efforts.
Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith says he intends to use the money allocated for the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service's Diwali and Christmas celebrations to assist the 266 police officers who were affected by the heavy rains. The top cop made the announcement at a media conference in Port of Spain on Wednesday.
The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, we usually have annual Christmas events for all members of the police service, usually 3 Christmas events in North, South and Tobago and Diwali celebrations. This amounts to almost $1 million. I have decided that we will forego these events this year because I think it is more critical that the funds that can be utilized towards these events that we have lasted a few hours should be in the hands of the police officers who have been affected.
The Commissioner of Police shared what measures would be taken to disburse the funds.
It's not a case of taking $1 million and divide it equally between the 266. Some of them have lost much more. Thankfully, it has stopped, because what I don't want is next thing everyone, Gary Griffith and everyone says, I lost something as well. Which I don't think they will do, but I need to make sure, looking at how much each person would have lost and put it in probably 3 different categories to be able to give that amount allocated to those persons who would have lost much more.
And don't go just yet. We go further abroad in a bit, but first, here's a look at how some of the major international commodities ended trading this week. And coming up, Saudi investment firm rakes in billions of dollars. International stories are next. Stay with us.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7 or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
We are back with another exciting, innovative and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well we lock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
There's only one recommendation for funding that is ever going to come from me, and that is funding from a bank.
This is the cost to build, and it includes every nail and screw for the building.
Our motto is building communities, building a nation.
Get in the know with the world of real estate with Business Access TV's Home Sweet Home, Sundays at 4:30 p.m.
Business current affairs you can relate to. Frank, credible discussion. On point with Kalila Reynolds and Dennis Chung. Dissecting the issues, offering solutions to Jamaica's challenges. On Point, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
We're taking you beyond our shores, across the region and around the world. Every week, BATV gives you in-depth reporting on the major stories that gripped headlines in the Caribbean and on the international scene. Join us Sundays for This Week Abroad. Business Access TV, serious about business at home and abroad.
Welcome back to This Week Abroad, and thanks for staying with us. With about 5 months to go and still no Brexit deal, growing fear culminated in an anti-Brexit protest calling for a new referendum. Here's more from Al Jazeera's Paul Brennan.
In 2016, concerns that leaving the EU might result in chaos were dismissed as Project Fear by Brexit supporters. But with just 5 months to go until Britain leaves the EU and still no agreement on the terms of departure, millions of people are now very afraid indeed.
My major concerns are for the future. Not for my generation, yes, we're going to be completely stuffed with this, but for my children's future and my grandchildren's future.
We could have all of our rights taken away, we could have all of our trade deals taken, and for students, we are vulnerable to that, and it's our futures that are going to be destroyed because of that.
This was a massive turnout. People came from all over the UK to attend, and the crowd was at least 5 times larger than the 100,000 originally predicted by the organisers. There was a significantly smaller pro-Brexit event in the northern town of Harrogate on Saturday. Nigel Farage urging the Prime Minister to just get on with it.
You know, the evidence suggests about a third of those that voted Remain now say we're Democrats and we think the government should simply get on with it. And that's our message. Get on with it. Fulfill your promises to us. You said if we voted to leave, it would happen. It needs to.
But what is it? The People's Vote campaigners say the it promised and voted for in 2016 is not what's going to be delivered in March next year.
As the weeks and months pass with no agreed Brexit deal, the pressure for a people's vote is growing. But what's uncertain is whether the government will actually grant a people's vote and what the question will be if they do.
Once they've given us the vote, then we can argue about what the question should be. And without question, it should be, do you want to devastate the United Kingdom and create catastrophic consequences for the economy, or do you want to stay in the EU?
The option to stay in the EU will definitely be on the ballot paper because it is Parliament itself that will decide what the question is.
Hey, hey, Theresa May, give us all our final say.
The Prime Minister is still refusing to hold another referendum, and the opposition Labour Party seems reluctant to force one. But the pressure from the voting public may yet force their hand. Paul Brennan, Al Jazeera, Central London.
The coal mining industry in Germany employs about 20,000 people. However, the government's plan to close coal mines has jobs hanging in the balance and workers are up in arms. Here's more.
Thousands of workers from Germany's coal mining industry took to the streets of the West German city of Bergheim today in order to protest against the German government's plans to close the country's 4 lignite coal mines. The top of the priority list for these protesters today is, of course, jobs. The coal industry currently employs some 20,000 people across Germany, but the leaders of the union also point to the fact that it could be a false economy for the government to close the country's coal mines too quickly. They say that this would just drive up energy costs for German industry, which would make German businesses less competitive abroad. Now, the German Coal Commission, which was set up by the federal government to oversee the closing of Germany's coal mines, will be meeting in West Germany today in order to discuss how to eventually say goodbye to coal for good. Amongst their plans are promises to invest in training current workers in the coal industry so that they will be able to be fit to apply for other jobs. And they also promise to breathe life into the coal region in Germany by investing in building and infrastructure so that there's not an eventual economic decline in the region once the mines are closed for good. Jessica Saltz for Euronews in Berlin.
The Ivory Coast, one of Africa's leading producers of natural rubber, is now caught in the middle of the US-China trade war as a great deal of the rubber produced is exported to China for further production. Here's more from Al Jazeera.
They call this bleeding the tree. For a substance the world is addicted to, now at the center of a global trade war. It's latex in its purest form, found in tires, phones, toothbrushes, satellites, or mattresses. It is an essential element in daily life. And so deep in the Ivorian forest, Olivier Dopo goes from tree to tree, scoring them for the precious liquid.
It's a craft passed on from generations. It's an art form that keeps us fed and brings us a regular wage.
Unlike cocoa or coffee, natural rubber is collected all year round. Planters sell it to factories that pay them a monthly fixed wage, but prices have been slashed by almost half since the beginning of the year. Trump is imposing $200 billion in tariffs on China, the world's largest manufacturer of rubber goods. China, in response, imposes tariffs on synthetic rubber the West produces. While in the short term this is bad for African producers, in the long run some hope the continent could benefit from this trade war.
Tomorrow our turn will come. We have the land, better yet the labor, and the know-how to manufacture it. Eventually, the world will come to us to get their rubber, and we'll manufacture it.
Ivory Coast is Africa's biggest producer. Research is underway to develop more efficient seedlings to produce more and better quality rubber.
Natural rubber has been around for hundreds of years, and yet scientists know so little about this. It's in its purest form, it's stretchy and strong, and no one yet has been able to reproduce it. Researchers here are trying to protect natural rubber plantations because the world's appetite for this substance continues to grow.
The quality of synthetic rubber does not match what is found in nature. Scientists are genetically modifying seedlings to make them resistant to disease. Discovered deep in the Amazon forest and planted across Africa and Asia by colonizers, it was nicknamed the Devil's Milk because it fueled conflict and destruction. Unaware of the global trade war, and despite falling prices, Adopo calls rubber white gold, at least for now. Nicholas Hawke, Al Jazeera, Grand Laou, Ivory Coast.
Despite many business leaders boycotting the Saudi Investment Summit over the murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, the summit still managed to secure over $50 billion in investments for the country. Here's more from Al Jazeera's Bernard Smith.
By the time Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman turned up at the Future Investment Initiative Summit in Riyadh, a day after it started, Saudi Arabia had already signed deals worth $50 billion. Another $6 billion was added by the time the event closed. The murder of Jamal Khashoggi at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul cast a dark shadow over the conference, but it's not stopped business being done.
People are here networking. There still is Western representation. There are bankers, there are people, investors looking to do business. They're just not always at the highest level as they were last year. And it's clear from talking to many of them that some of them are frustrated that their CEOs and their top executives have pulled out.
Also missing from the summit were senior politicians from mainly Western countries who withdrew as outrage over Khashoggi's murder grew. But there were plenty of others who did attend, perhaps not as easily able to resist the financial clout of the world's biggest oil producer. There were government delegations from China, Russia and African and Middle Eastern countries. The conference has been Salman's brainchild, created to draw investment and diversification into an oil-dependent economy that needs to find new ways to provide millions of jobs. And it's those opportunities that attendees couldn't ignore.
You can't take away decades of collaboration, effective collaboration over one incident. Of course, there's consequences for actions, and then hopefully you can get past those actions.
The conference was told that multi-billion-dollar plans include theme parks and Red Sea tourist resorts. Saudi Arabia says it also wants to offer privatization opportunities in education, healthcare and desalination. For Mohammed bin Salman, it was almost business as usual. Bernard Smith, Al Jazeera.
And that's it for This Week Abroad. Thanks for going around the region and across the world with us. We're back next week with more regional and international business stories, but please join us Mondays to Fridays at 7:30 p.m. right here or live on our Facebook page for BATV News. I'm Javon Keys. Please have a great week.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
I am Shani Jajo, and you're watching Business Access.
On this episode, Mackay talks to us about taking risks.
I've taken some huge financial risks over the years, but I would say the biggest risk probably would be picking up and moving my entire life to Jamaica.
The growth with ADS Global.
ADS over the past 3 years has really diversified its model.
And the biggest misconception that many may have about him, he finally puts to rest.
I think the biggest misconception that people have is that I'm this, big businessman from the United States that's very well off. I'm Ron McKay, CEO of ADS Global, co-founder of the company, a full-service contact center out of Montego Bay, and just last year became the new president for the American Chamber of Commerce here in Jamaica. Ron McKay's an entrepreneur that's trying to build a business, several businesses. Wants to have a lot of fun along the way, but also trying to make a difference along the way. I try to give back where I can and when I can to communities, and I try to surround myself with good people. And I think when you surround yourself with good people, you can not only get ahead in life, but bring a bunch of people to get ahead with life with you. I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Grew up, both sides of my family came from migrant families. My mother's side from Italy, my father's side from Scotland. Both sets of grandparents and aunts and uncles, we all lived within one city block in brick row homes. And eventually my father and mother moved out of the city into the suburban area. Grew up at the Jersey Shore on the beach. Grew up a major sports fan of the Philadelphia teams. And essentially, my parents instilled in a very young age in me that you're gonna have to work hard for anything that you want to accomplish in life. They were both self-made people. My dad went through university on the Army bill for scholarship after being in the Army, and was at night work, actually raising 2 sons, and I was actually at his college graduation. My mother was a school teacher for 35 years, Catholic school teacher. And matter of fact, she was my 8th grade English teacher at one time, which was my toughest grade I ever got. And I always had jobs, always entrepreneurial based. I had the largest paper route in my neighborhood, worked after school as a stock boy in a retail store, worked the summers at restaurants down in the vacation resorts. Had my own Christmas tree business. We sold Christmas trees, and then eventually went on to Christian Brothers Academy, a private all-boys school in New Jersey for high school. Really, that's when I started to really learn some good values about, leadership, values and friendship, surrounding yourself with good people. And then went on to Villanova University outside of Philadelphia. Got into the real estate business while I was still at school. Rented homes back to my fellow students. I was in a landlord business. Became president of the basketball organization, traveled with the team for many years. Had a lot of fun with that, and then got into high-end luxury home building along the Jersey Shore, waterfront properties. And at age 22, amassed a very nice portfolio of real estate upon graduating university. And that was my first big experience, and at a very young age, getting into the business world. I think the motivation for me was my father was a self-made business person, but he always worked for a big corporation. And growing up, he worked hard to give his children a great education and give his family a great home, and instilled those values in me. But also, I didn't get a chance to see him a lot. He was always traveling, or he'd come home late at night tired. And so at a very young age, I didn't want to go the traditional corporate business route, like most 95% of my friends graduating and on-campus interviews. So at a young age, I was always looking for something I could do for myself. And that's where the entrepreneurial spirit came in. So that, sometimes you might have to work 60, 80 days a week. You might work 3 weeks without a day off. But then at least you're doing it for yourself, and you're dictating the pace of where you go in life. I have a younger brother, 4 years younger. Lives still back in the Philadelphia area. Comes down to Jamaica a couple times a year, loves it down here. I have a lot of adoptive family from the States because they all want to come down to Jamaica and then enjoy the weather. But yeah, just him and I, as far as a direct sibling. I got out of the real estate business not by choice. There was a banking crisis in the United States in the early 1990s. The savings and loan industry crashed, and basically real estate development became into a recession. I achieved success so fast and so soon at such an early age that I really never went and had to work within any type of structured framework, 9 to 5, or commute on a train, or travel with a car like a lot of my friends had done out of university. And I made my own schedule. And I never thought of life past real estate at that point. I figured I'd just keep on doing this, for the rest of my life. And so when that came down, and I lost everything, I felt like I had failed because I didn't have any type of plan B. It wasn't about failing in real estate, because there were a lot of intangibles that much bigger business people than me, in the business their whole lives, went under, bankrupt and things like that, and the government had to come in and redo the entire banking industry. I just felt like I had no vision to say, well, what if someday this isn't working, what would I do next? And I had a very difficult time redefining myself and what I wanted to do, because I had taken this path of, I'm a very independent person, and then I thought, well, should I consider going to try to get a job, a traditional job? And I went through that period for a while, and it wasn't an easy period, because I just felt like also a lot of people around me were encouraging me at a young age to do well, but there were a lot of people around me too, even people that consider themselves friends, who were thinking, he's crazy, and then they were sort of waiting for it to fall apart. So I was also in that zone that I had to prove them wrong, but I wanted to make sure it was something that was sustainable, long-term. And that's really how I was feeling it at that time. I was, a little bit lost. I didn't know where really to go. I knew I'd find something and rebound. I'm a very resilient person, but I also knew at that particular time I was at a major crossroads in my life at such a very young age. I've taken some huge financial risks over the years, but I would say the biggest risk probably would be picking up and moving my entire life to Jamaica.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, Fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Cameo brings the creative industries to life. Highlighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life turns art. I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
Without a customer, we're nothing but four walls.
Music. film. Cameo, only on Business Access TV.
We are back with another exciting, innovative and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well we knock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Having a corporate event, seminar, awards show, conference, product launch, workshop or expo? Business Access TV is here to showcase your event. Contact our sales department at 908-0919, 906-6357 or 908-2775 for more information. Business Access TV, serious about business.
I was looking for something that was more, a business that was involved in more context that you could have more of a service-based business versus tangible assets like real estate. Something you could liquidate, something you could create a value towards in a much easier fashion. And at that time, they were breaking up Ma Bell in the United States, all the big telephone companies. And they were opening up opportunities for entrepreneurs in the telephone business. And I had done some research, and I got involved with a company called Amerivox, and they introduced the very first prepaid phone card to the United States. And I bought the distribution rights for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and over a course of 3 years, we ramped that company up, pioneered the entire industry. Before then, the prepaid phone card didn't exist, and we sold that company off. And during that time period, got to meet a lot of celebrities, a lot of athletes, and I saw the power of merchandising by getting licensing agreements. We had agreements with the NFL players of football. We had Elvis Presley Enterprises, all these different images that we would put on the cards, and that's how we drove our marketing. So I approached a bunch of the former NFL football players to say, why don't we start our own telephone company? And we started Eagle Communications out of Philadelphia, and that was my first real company that I owned myself, and it was like a full service, small, like a small Digicel, small, cable and wireless in the Philadelphia area. I've taken some huge financial risks over the years, but I would say the biggest risk probably would be picking up and moving my entire life to Jamaica, because I had risks beyond just business. We moved to the Caribbean. The business moved probably about 14 years ago now, where we moved into the Eastern Caribbean. We built the very first call center in Guyana. We were the first privately funded call center company in Eastern Caribbean in St. Vincent and Grenada, and worked a little bit out of Barbados. And then eventually, 9 years, matter of fact, 9 years ago last week, we came up to Montego Bay. And then 6 years ago, one of the 3 partners passed away, and I decided to take a risk financially to buy his estate out and become a majority shareholder in the company. But I also knew to do that, I couldn't be commuting back and forth to Philadelphia and come down, because I used to run the client relations, the sales, and the marketing, and we had a small office still up in Philadelphia. Then I realized I had to be very hands-on here to build the investment, protect the investment. And that was a big thing, because you're at that point in my life, I just turned 40, and to get up, I always traveled, but to really live somewhere totally different, I would say that was the biggest risk I ever took. How we formed America Direct Services, ADS, at that time was we wanted people to know that even though the facility is outside the United States, everything is still directly tied to American operations, technology, account management, finance, the owners. So there was really a brand called America Direct Services, to try to overcome at that time the challenge of people not wanting to give you business if you weren't located in the United States. And that's how we formed America Direct Services. Number one challenge was the price of data connections and broadband back then. When we first came into the Eastern Caribbean, Cable and Wireless had a monopoly. There was no Digicel, there was no Flow, Merit, Columbus. our data connection was for what they call an E1 to the United States was over 30,000 US a month. So think about how much the prices have come down. To run a quarter-mile fiber or a quarter-mile conduit to your building, because they didn't have network like now, that would be $250,000 US just to do a quarter mile. So you had big, big infrastructure challenges in the middle and during then. And then the other thing was, as a whole, the Caribbean was moving from an agricultural, manufacturer-based labor force to a service-based, with tourism originally being the original flow, but the countries we were in weren't big, huge tourism-based products in the Eastern Caribbean. Of course, you know, Guyana not really being in that sector. So you had the challenge of the workforce understanding and educating and creating a pipeline of educated employees that understand the difference about working with a product or something they hold or out in the field or something, and working behind technology, interfacing with people all over the world that they may never meet. So that was a challenge also. And I think just as a whole, you know, living away from the United States of America and things you just become accustomed to every single day that you don't think about, you need to think about. I mean, even to this day here, you know, things that you just take for granted elsewhere, it's not part of your routine. You don't have to think about how to overcome it here, you know, and throughout the, you know, developing worlds. They become part of your checklist that you need to do for the day. You know, so those have been big challenges. I've become a lot more calmer though over the years. You know, I mean, I come from an Italian family and a Scotch family, so you have the emotion and you have the stubbornness, and it took me a long time to adjust to life down here. And you know, I think what really drives my life to be more patient is the people here as a whole are such a wholesome, good feeling vibe to the country and to the people, and I enjoy that. I enjoy the people factor. ADS over the past 3 years has really diversified its model. We've gone from traditional call center services, from one building to 2 buildings in Fairview and the Freeport and Montego Bay, to now offering traditional back office, BPO services. We do database management for Fortune 500 companies all over the world. We've now got into marketing for the tourism industry. So we have a sister company called Citico, which we're shareholders in, and we drive tourism-based marketing. One of our big clients here locally would be Palladium Resorts and Lucy. We also have clients where we've done now customized loyalty rewards programs. So we've built programs you'll hear soon for Digicel on travel and reward side. We built technology solutions for companies like Mystic Mountain. So we're doing a lot here domestically that we haven't done in the past. So we've diversified to dealing with our global customers, but also our domestic-based customers, and moving the company into an area of back to really where I started, really, which would be, you know, the next, you know, tech-driven, the next growth area, but also taking the skill sets of what we are as a company and making sure I'm putting the company in the right place for success. And that's, you know, a big reason why we got into the tourism-based part of the marketing business of the call center, tying in call center skill sets to tourism marketing, was that I saw a sales force, or I saw a skill set in my labor force that was comfortable. It was in their comfort zone to talk about tourism. So why not have a call center that's marketing tourism? Because now you get the best of both worlds for me as an owner to drive more business. So the tourism aspect, loyalty rewards, back office, database management, you're going to see a lot of that coming out of ADS. Social media management, business-to-business social media management, not what's going on Facebook and people having parties and posting photos. Taking people's profiles, market research, and saying, okay, you're trying to reach this particular type of person, I'm going to pull that data from the social media arena, like companies like LinkedIn and things like, and give you targeted customers. I think the biggest misconception that people have is that I'm this, you know, big businessman from the United States that's very well off.
there's only one recommendation for funding that is ever going to come from me, and that is funding from a bank.
This is the cost to build, and it includes every nail and screw for the building.
Our motto is building communities, building a nation.
Get in the know with the world of real estate with Business Access TV's Home Sweet Home, Sundays at 4:30 p.m.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents will say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
The Good Life, your trusted source for useful health and wellness information, lifestyle tips for the mind, body, and soul. Tune in Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
We are back with another exciting, innovative, and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well lock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Having a corporate event, seminar, awards show, conference, products launch, workshop, or expo? Business Access TV is here to showcase your event. Contact our sales department at 908-0919, 906-6357, or 908-2775 for more information. Business Access TV, serious about business.
I think the biggest misconception that people have is that I'm this, big businessman from the United States that's very well off. I can tell you right now that I work very hard for what we continue to achieve, and I have really changed my entire life to really make it. My life is in Jamaica, and for the people that know me, they know that. I mean, really, it's Jamaica first now, and the rest of the world second. And if you don't know me, people look at this guy who's the president of the American Chamber of Commerce, representing a lot of foreign investment. With the chamber itself has the word American in it, and having events with the embassy, and there's this aspect that they try to group you as an outsider or an expat, things like that. I consider myself a person living and building a life and business in Jamaica, trying to make a difference. And I don't like titles, or I don't like preconceived notions about people. I mean, and I think anyone that's ever heard me speak knows it comes from the heart. Yes, I want to be successful on all levels of success, but I define success, I think, now more than ever, on what I'm able to do to build a better life for myself and the people I care about, where I'm at. I always say a house is not a home. So that building I'm in, or that apartment I'm in, that's not my home. That's just a structure. A home is where you feel comfortable and you feel you have people around you that care about you and you care about. And I think that a lot of foreign businessmen that come down here get titled or pre-titled with certain stigmas that I don't think is fair. Now, a lot of them just go back and forth and never made a life here, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a big group of us that made a life here. And we didn't do that because we inherited any money. We didn't do that because the government gave us any money. We did it out of pure hard work and saw an opportunity to make our lives better by being here. Well, I don't sleep, so I need to get up. If not, my mind just, a race goes on and on and on and on. I'm like a big computer server. The minute I lay down, it starts downloading everything from the day. Once it's downloaded, I'm already ready to turn it back on. And so I'm not a workaholic because I work hard to play hard. Anybody that's been around me knows that I like to have a good time, and I like to have a lot of people around me having a good time. I like to laugh at myself and be goofy, and dressing up as Santa Claus and acting like a goofball at a Christmas party in front of the business community. I enjoy that. My philanthropy work here started out very basic. We had a couple of the managers that worked for me at ADS Global said there was a career day, and they wanted to invite me to speak at their children's school. So I went up to the school, first time I'd ever been to a school here in Jamaica, and I fell in love with the kids. And I started thinking more and more about if I can make a difference in Jamaica, I need to make it with the children and the future of Jamaica. So the next thing, I started going around talking to the schools about GSATs the week before GSATs, just to give the children a perspective of like, listen, don't get yourself all worked up. This is an opportunity, but you do your best and everything will work out. And there's life beyond next Tuesday when you take this test. And then that tied into falling in love with a certain school in Montego Bay called Supreme Prep, and spending time with them and helping them build a new room or put a new roof. And I sponsored an annual scholarship fund there in the name of Nelia Perrier, who's been a school teacher for over 50 years now in Jamaica. And then it went on to much bigger things. Now into AmJam, we formed our Committee for Community Affairs and Relations, and we're going to pick one charitable organization a year to help build and drive and support. And this year we're going to be doing Shelly Ann Frazier's organization, the Pocket Rocket Foundation, for her. I like finding different levels of happiness. It's not anymore about how much I'm worth or how big the company is. It's more about happiness. And I think I've narrowed how I define happiness to myself much less. It isn't such a big, broad-based concept as it was 20 years ago. If I get up and I enjoy the day, and I go to bed that night, and I enjoyed that day and what I did, and I enjoyed the people I had around me, that to me is happiness. And what drives me is to be able to have more days like that, and then turn days into weeks, weeks into months, months into years. Because it's not an easy thing to do. We deal with all the intangibles in life and challenges, and then we get away from the basics, which is, hey, listen, it doesn't matter how many employees you have, it doesn't matter how big the company, what you're worth, whatever. At the end of the day, you just want to get up and go to bed and enjoy life. And that's how I would say, that's what drives me. I would like to enjoy life even more.
Hello, my name is Blake Widmer. I'm the co-founder of Deaf Can Coffee. And the exposure that we had to the just general community through Business Access TV itself is awesome. It was a big deal for them, having BATV come here, and we were with you guys for probably 4 hours that day. It was a long time. We really appreciate your guys' openness to recognize that, yeah, captions are important. If a deaf person's watching it, how are they gonna understand what's being said? So looking back is just a big boost, encouragement for our team. If you're a business or an organization that wants to have yourselves featured on BATV, or you want to do advertising with BATV, what I would tell them is that you guys listen well and you ask good questions, and that will help, at the end of the day, deliver a really good product for your business too.
Your business matters. Promote it on Business Access TV.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
I'm Shani Jajo, and you're watching Business Access.
The Caribbean Community of Retired Persons, CCRP, is a non-profit membership organization for persons 50 and over, retired, or preparing for retirement. The organization was founded by Jean Laurie Chin, founder and managing director at Procom.
I wanted to do something significant, especially for those people who helped me to build my business. And when I thought about those persons, they were all seniors. It was my mother who, when I told her I wanted to start a business, she said, well, all I have in my account is $3,200 and the furniture your father died and left last year, but you can have it. And that is how the business was started. And then all the folks that had been my mentors in the previous years, Wycliffe Bennett, for Carrie Fester, Merrick Needham, Sister Bernadette, who was my principal at Alpha, was a mentor and still in touch with me at that time, before she passed away a few years ago. And I said, but these are all seniors who a lot of people do not even listen to, do not even realize how much wisdom they have. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start an organization to honor seniors, to empower them, and to reinforce respect for seniors. And that was the start of CCRP. I got together some wonderful friends. They were like the foundation members of CCRP. And that was Alun Asamba and Hermine Metcalf and Sharon Dehaney Walker, wife of Danville Walker. And those three ladies really helped me to develop the program. And then we contacted Professor Denise Eldemire Shearer, who is one of the most knowledgeable people, if not the most knowledgeable person in the Caribbean, definitely, about aging. And she is actually the head of the Mona Wellness Center. And she was so happy to chair our board. What this has done, it has shown you the generosity of our elders and what they really have to offer. And I really think if Jamaica would just listen more, pay attention more. Many of us were raised by grandmothers, right? So, I mean, we know the wisdom that these people have. And do you know, 2 years after we were formed, it was Jamaica 50. And we decided, that was 2012, we decided that we would have a Legacy Awards. That was our first Legacy Awards. And we had a big event. 62 persons were honored for our Living Legacy Awards. And in that room, we asked our members to nominate people. And one of the people they nominated, I'd never heard of before. Her name was Mama Joy Baker. Mama Joy lived, and still lived at that time, on Hanover Street. And Mama Joy had been taking care of children for over 30 years. She had opened 356 bank accounts for them to learn how to save. She had literally fought off thugs who were trying to harass the little girl children on Hanover Street. She had scrubbed the floors of bars to send them to school. And when we discovered Mama Joy and we honored her that day, and she had on a beautiful red dress and a beautiful hat. When we honored Mama Joy, it was after that that the government gave her a national honor. CCRP can offer seniors, people 50 and over, a major medical health insurance package for $12,500 Jamaican per annum, and it qualifies them for up to $5 million of major medical, which means surgery, MRI, anesthetist, dialysis, chemotherapy, radiation, up to $5 million. And let me tell you, we started it year before last. Actually, it's year before last because the claims have now been coming in and people have come and told us that we have saved them from poverty. Because if they had had to find those monies, it would have been so difficult. And I'm very grateful to Sagicor because the claims that they've been paying out actually exceeds the premiums they've been receiving. So it is now, at this point, highly subsidized, and I want to really encourage Jamaicans to join CCRP and to sign up for this insurance, which is so affordable. But if we don't get enough people on board, the premiums may go up. So, and the people who I am encouraging in particular are young professionals, because they are responsible for their elders. And when your parents or your grandparents get sick, and you are not able to find it, or you are going to have to go and find it from somewhere and put yourself in debt, it's just not worth it if you have this opportunity. So I want to encourage young professionals to sign up their parents. The membership fee for CCRP at this point is $1,000 Jamaican dollars per annum. We have outings. Last year we had what was called a Silver Club Vintage Party over at Devon House. And even one of our seniors in a wheelchair, you should have seen that guy rocking when that scare started, you know, because it just brings back so many lovely memories. So I want our seniors to have a great time. We went to Milk River Spa. Oh my gosh. We had a little mentor band. And when those ladies started to dance, you know, and guess what? Dancing is one of the healthiest things you can do for your body. So, and we had Tai Chi, we want to bring back Tai Chi again, because of course Tai Chi is very good for your bones. So between our Sagicor health plan, our discount partners, and of course our wonderful team at Procom, I cannot praise them enough, because you know, CCRP is operated out of Procom. These are people who have served this country so well and so wholeheartedly. And I think we now need to turn around and ensure that they are happy, that they are comfortable, that they are respected, and that we do not deny ourselves the privilege of sharing their experiences and their wisdom. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to just sit down and have a conversation. It helps us to understand the context of this country.
Coming up on Caring Hands.
The purpose is to help empower older people to accept, understand the aging process, and more importantly, to live life to the fullest.
As the end of the year draws nigh and the celebrations begin, let us add some magic to the festivities with our BATV Christmas mix. Why settle for blah when you can have fa la 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 la? 60 advertising spots, 10 crawl spots. This $1.6 million package is all yours for only $45,000. Don't wait. Contact our sales team today and take advantage of this incredible offer. Our gift to you, BATV Christmas Mix. Offer valid until December 31, 2018.
We are back with another exciting, innovative and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well lock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
The Good Life, your trusted source for useful health and wellness information, lifestyle tips for the mind, body, and soul. Tune in Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
There's only one recommendation for funding that is ever going to come from me, and that is funding from a bank.
This is the cost to build, and it includes every nail and screw for the building.
Our motto is building communities, building a nation.
Get in the know with the world of real estate with Business Access TV's Home Sweet Home, Sundays at 4:30 p.m.
Professor Denise Eldemar Shero, Chair of the CCRP and Director of the Mona Aging and Wellness Center, is the leading authority on aging and an unwavering advocate for the elderly.
My role as the chair is to support Mrs. Laurie Chin and to make connections and to help with the other board members to execute the ideas that come to us as to what the organization can do. And these ideas often come to us from our members. So it's about finding ways with the team at CCRP to execute what people want. The purpose is to help empower older people to accept, understand the old aging process, and more importantly, to live life to the fullest, no matter what restrictions they may have, whatever functional inabilities. It's about ensuring that people believe that they can live. You may need a walker, you may need a walking stick, you may have a hearing impairment, but you can still live life. And you're going to live 20, 25 years after retirement. And therefore, you can't rest and relax for that. You'll get very bored. And it's about helping older people come out of their houses. There's absolutely no activities targeting older people in Jamaica. And we, as an organization, saw it as a main objective to help meet that gap. On the other side, older people have increased health needs, particularly health needs. And we have also seen it as our responsibility to, one, advocate where necessary, accessibility, availability, and also to provide services through the health insurance with Sagicor. CCRP targets active older people. 90% of the Jamaican population over 60 is physically well and mentally well. So we have a lot of older people ranging from 60 to 100 who can be very active participants in everyday life. And our mission is particularly to promote activity among older people, to help older people believe in themselves, and to give them ideas as to what they can do. So we do have activities like the Games Night. We've had tours. We've been down to Milk River. It's about doing activities like that. One of the things that CCRP has been doing is trying to identify specific areas of need so as to approach areas. rather than only be reactive, such as when the bus price was increased, CCRP responded to that about reducing back the elderly one. But we don't want to see ourselves as only responding to a problem or an issue. It's about identifying. So the Mona Aging and Wellness Center, of which I am a part of, did a survey way back in 2012, which we have been talking about it. So CCRP has been going through the findings of that survey, highlighting issues. That's why I was able to tell you about people are healthy or not healthy. People have a lot of chronic disease, but they're functional. We know 72% of them have a chronic disease. How do we ensure that they don't get worse? So we do a lot of seminars, health-related seminars, the retirement sort of seminars. What is retirement about? Many people can be depressed by retirement, but you have to retire. So how can we in CCRP help you? One, adjust to retirement. Two, find things to do. What are some of the hobbies you can develop? What are some of the new activities? Learning to use the computer. So CCRP is proactive, doesn't wait for the problem. The majority of families in this country do recognize their older people, and they actually love them. The grandmother, the grandfather in many of our families is still a revered person. He or she is also a very needed person. Our younger people need to go to work. And if you go by any school at 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock, you will see who is picking up the children. Yes, there are families that don't. And we also have a fair number of families now where the young people, and of course a young person here could be 50 if you're 70, are not living here. So there are the groups of older people who don't have families here and are dependent on neighbors. And you will hear about those problems. Do we do enough at community and state level? No. That, I think, is where we have a lot more to do. I think we still need to teach more respect to our younger people about all older people, because they will have grandma or grandpa at home, but you will see them rushing past them on the street. I think we need to do more in the area of pension. I think we need to recognize what has been done in healthcare. I think, well, free healthcare gets a rap, but I can tell you from the 2012 survey, the older people have embraced it. And they will tell you that they don't have anything to do, so they can wait 3 hours. As one person said to me, all I have to have is a lunch money. There is JADAP, there is NHF. So I think as a young country, in terms of independence, we need to acknowledge state government efforts in the area of health. We need much, much more in education. I'd like to see us go to third age education where we have special programs for older people, and the private sector has done very little. There are 300,000 older people in this country. When are people going to recognize they're a resource? When are we going to accept their contribution to development? They all pay light bill, water bill, a lot of other things, and they are major contributors to this economy. I don't think that gets enough recognition.
Coming up on Caring Hands.
We just enjoy our company together. We feel that we are living still.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents will say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Business current affairs you can relate to. Frank, credible discussion. On Point with Kalila Reynolds and Dennis Chung. Dissecting the issues, offering solutions to Jamaica's challenges. On Point, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
This is Weekend Business Report. Economic windfall.
Unsecured loans.
Alleged corruption.
Follows the closure.
If they made this investment.
Brokers
strive to increase revenues.
He sought some answers.
Financial meltdown.
Here are the week's final Here's Garth. News Roundup.
Camille, it's back to you.
That's Weekend Business Report with me, Keneal Gale, Saturdays and Sundays.
We're taking you beyond our shores, across the region and around the world. Every week, BATV gives you in-depth reporting on the major stories that gripped headlines in the Caribbean and on the international scene. Join us Sundays for This Week Abroad. Business Access TV, serious about business at home and abroad.
Having a corporate event, seminar, awards show, conference, product launch, workshop or expo? Business Access TV is here to showcase your event. Contact our sales department at 908-0919, 906-6357 or 908-2775 for more information. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Merrill Hanson, a former president of the Nurses Association of Jamaica, now plays an active role in the organization.
I have been working with seniors for about 40 years, nearly 40 years. Because I started going to meetings at CVSS. Then I was elected to the board of National Council for Senior Citizens in 1981. And I have been on that advisory board. The board is an advisory board to the Minister of Labor and Social Security. And I have been on that board ever since I went out in 1981 when we had to resign. So I have enjoyed working with seniors. I was very elated when Mrs. Lorchin started the CCRP because within the National Council for Senior Citizens, we're always saying, although it is a National Council for Seniors, we did not find seniors at all levels of the society joining with us. I keep saying the only time that we got, call it the upper level citizens, thinking of coming to the National Council is when we started doing the JADEP program, and then people joined up. But I've always said to the other members on the National Council, if we could only have a group that functions like the AARP in America, you know. So I was very pleased when Mrs. Lorchin started the CCRP. And so, although I had other things doing with seniors, I thought I would join, and I encouraged my retired nurses, because then I was chairman of Retired Nurses Group of Nurses Association of Jamaica, and a number of us are members of this organization. And I am very pleased at how it has been going over the years. And the CCRP is making itself known. And I come this afternoon and I look and I really am pleased to see this is not really the general AGM, as you would call it. This is a second aspect of it. And to see so many turn up, I'm very pleased. I'm also pleased of the different interests that they have dealt with to get the group of the CCRP together. They have seminars, they have meetings, they have social events that bring seniors together. Because if you do not have that kind of, especially social events, seniors get lonely. I say, when you work in a department, whether it's government, private or public, you are somebody today, but tomorrow, you're not really anybody. You are a was. And keeping together in a group like CCRP and like my retired nurses, we just enjoy our company together. We feel that we are living still. We're not at home sitting down. So I really compliment Mrs. Larchin on how she is progressing with this group, and I think she found it very satisfactory to bring us together as seniors and to let us recognize that we still have a worth and work to do for nation building. I was very surprised and elated when the committee, the executive, decided to give me last year one of the Living Legend awards. And so I have the responsibility, and I'm very pleased of doing it, to talk about CCRP anytime. Like I said, my retired nurses, we meet once a month, and CCRP is on our agenda every month. We have to find out what is going on, who went where, and that sort of thing.
I'm just asking Jamaicans to come on board with us to support CCRP. Let us make sure that we show our wonderful elders, our seniors, how much they're appreciated. And let this be a reminder to all of us who are younger to plan for our retirement.
We are serious about the business of real estate, so catch Home Sweet Home Sundays at 4:30 p.m. or if you missed it, check our website at batvja.com.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
Every day you wake up, you have another opportunity to make this little island better, safer, a place where we all can be proud to call home. It's time we all recognize that every little thing we do has an impact on the Jamaica we live in now and the country we're leaving for our children. So promise me this, promise yourself this: no more will we tolerate criminals, even if it's our relatives. Tell them they're doing something wrong. Tell them to stop. Tell them no more robbing our children of the Jamaica they deserve. Tell them no more crime.